I was incarcerated at the age of 19, and I thought my life was over. I remember finally landing on the facility and being surrounded by walls. It's an echo chamber, it's very loud, and it's very empty. And I went back to my cubicle and lay down on my bed and I cried. It's very hard for me to think about what my life is going to be in 20 years when you're walking into the prison with that sentence. My family was super supportive, and they were the ones that said, hey, college is available to you at that unit. That's when I was like, okay, my life isn't over. I can study as much as I can, get educated, because I will leave this place. This is not going to be the end. Those of us that were pursuing educational programming while inside, we were a community in and of ourselves. We would ask each other to help with homework, or, hey, did you understand that? Or can I borrow your notes? You learn critical thinking. You learn how to cope. When you attend college classes and you're being transported to another facility for the day or for the class, you get called out usually around 3:30 or 3:45, and you wait for the other 6 or 8 ladies that are going with you. You get walked to the front gate and you get strip searched and handcuffed and transported on a van or a bus. You would get offloaded, stripped naked again. At that point, you're hot because the bus didn't have any ventilation. You're tired because you were stripped already twice. You would ask for a bathroom break. The officer was usually busy trying to log everybody in, didn't have time to allow that bathroom break. So we knew not to drink water before we left. After class, you get marched down to the back gate, strip searched naked again one more time, handcuffed one more time, put back in the bus or van, transported back to your home unit. I achieved my bachelor's degree over 15 years of going through all that. I was determined to get an education.
Pell Grants and higher education generally in prisons in Texas were available going back even to the 1960s. In 1994, Congress passed what became known as the '94 Crime Bill, which, among many other things, eliminated eligibility for incarcerated folks to receive Pell Grants. And overnight, almost, within a few years, most programs nationally shut down.
The Pell Grant, of course, was the big driver of tuition payments for students that, would not have been able to afford college. Most of our students do not have money. Their families don't have money. So it was very inequitable. When you see people of color, which are predominantly in the prison system, those are people that have been locked out of the opportunity to get an education.
Eventually, in 2020, Congress passed the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, which reversed that decision from the '94 Crime Bill and reinstated Pell Grants, and that'll go effective next year in 2023.
With the reinstatement of Pell, there's so many positive things that will come about because we know we've done it before, we've seen it. Education of that nature is transforming.
At the end of the day, there are more than 120,000 people locked up in Texas Department of Criminal Justice facilities. The department's own data shows that the average person released last year was 37 years old and the equivalent of an 8th grade education. Most of the jobs out there today require certainly a high school diploma, but maybe even an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or some kind of workforce training. If you don't have that when you get out, you're left with very few options. At Texas Appleseed, we see higher education in prisons as an enormous opportunity for Texas. We've looked at the research and the data behind, do these programs work? And the answer is clearly yes, and it's a great investment for our state, but it needs to be done right. And that's where organizations like ours come in. Pell Grants are an entitlement. If you qualify, you're supposed to receive them. And we're trying to make sure that that's what happens in Texas prisons.
The same system that said getting my education was a privilege, not a right. The system that never let me forget that I was an offender. The same system that gave me 5 sheets of notebook paper stamped with property of TDC on them. That same system is going to determine the future of Pell in Texas. And that means that that same system is going to determine the futures of hundreds of thousands of people.
Alexa's story illustrates how transformative higher education in prison can be for one person. Imagine what we can accomplish if we're doing that for thousands.